Dan, on the implementation side of things, how is AI affecting implementations in general, the way that either the end customer or even your own people implement technology, and if so, what are some of those changes you're seeing?
Yes, I think the from that standpoint, right? One, if it's done right, implementation. We have tools that are actually helping our customers migrate, right, or from the cloud over into, or from on-prem into the cloud. So when we are using AI in those tools to assess their legacy systems, determine kind of like what the best models are, and to easily migrate them over to those customizations over into our cloud aspect. So, that's one aspect of how we're using AI in our consulting services to help our customers migrate. I would say the implementation within customers, we embed AI into our systems, right? And we use natural language. We try and, as I had mentioned before, we have engineers that, as we build our solutions, they're on the shop floors. They're learning how our customers use the system. So as they build it and our customers implement it, it's natural to them, right? There isn't this, AI in essence should be almost like a hidden tool, right? Like you go in there, you use it, and it's an extension. I don't want to call it a co-pilot. I'll call it it's an assistant, right? That helps our customers actually do more without having to worry about and be a data analyst or really kind of be retrained in how to use the system. So I do believe AI is helping in that aspect of implementation because it's making it easier for our customers to adopt AI quicker.
Right. So. How about you, Tanya? In the Infor ecosystem, how are you seeing AI, or are you seeing AI impact how customers are implementing and or adopting ERP technology?
Absolutely. So I think one of the examples I'm going to use is that some of our ERP screens in the past, let's think about forecasting. You go in there, it's a nice chart, and then you have a drop down of different models. This is a model you could try out, this is a model you could try out, and you just sit in there as an end user and you pick all those models and try to find the best answer. What we are seeing with AI coming to the picture, it runs all of these things for you in parallel, and based on your data shape, picks the right thing to expose, so it's kind of less time that end users now have to spend looking through all of those different choices that they have that they're not necessarily sometimes equipped or have time to equip, like what is the best one to choose, but we already run those things for them so that it gives them the answer. And then, on the productivity side of things, I think you mentioned some nice examples. Instead of starting from like a blank page, you really have somewhere there going, oh, can I write down this, job description? That comes in handy, right? Can I modify those things? Can I translate things that are a lot faster? We serve customers across the globe, and that has really been transformational for us to really them coming in and like, oh, I could send this exact same message to different languages to target to my customers. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely see that come into place so that they spend less time picking the right tools or configurations, but actually focusing what is kind of the best outcomes that we can give to them. They can move on and actually spend more time on other value-added tasks.
Right. How about in the priority space?
I'm thinking in the context of change management. We talked a lot about change management today. And once we have AI, even the AI assistant at this point, it makes change easier. There's less to learn. The system is much more forthcoming. I think it's part of a trend of consumerization, how to pronounce, but easy to understand, of business systems. People want systems that they get, that nobody taught us how to use Facebook or WhatsApp or Candy Crush, right? We just went in and it was immediately clear what we need to do and how to set it up and how to make it work. So business environment is a bit more sophisticated than lining up suites, but still there's a lot of room for simplification, and I think that's what the market wants, and AI will definitely help us get there.
Yeah. And then the NetSuite space there, are you seeing AI impact how customers are using software, implementing the software?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fascinating because of course we're all in the technology side of the house here, and so we're solving similar problems and sort of seeing lots of similar things. I think the one thing that we have seen is that with the rise of ChatGPT, if you will, people that come to us in the first instance and express an interest in what can NetSuite do, they're coming better informed. they've used these tools to help them understand what's out there in the landscape. You're doing more research before you pick up the phone or interact with your vendor or your potential vendor, which is great. It speeds up the conversation, allows us to get down to the specifics of where we can help. We're also doing things on the NetSuite side again. Perhaps one of the advantages of being cloud native, helping customers understand what they're not using today and how they might benefit. It's true. I think in pretty much every technology product that we use, me included, there are for every feature that you are using, there's probably 5 or 6 that have been implemented that you didn't read the release notes or weren't paying attention to the marketing event, and so you don't know about it. How many people use the tap button on the back of their iPhones? I don't. So I don't know if anyone. It's a feature that you know about. If you didn't know about,
I had no idea.
Is there a button?
you can tell it double tap on the back of the phone and it'll take a photo. You can tell it exactly what you want to do. It's true.
Thank God for
But
you
it
guys to
comes-
educate us on technology.
And you thought this
I wasn't expecting that to be everyone nods their heads. But actually seeing how they can take advantage of other aspects of our suite to help them, with a particular business challenge that they have, and how that, what the results of that might be as in terms of what they're using today, and if they were to, in some cases, just start using this new model that they're already paying for that they haven't gotten around to implement yet. And then, it was mentioned earlier on today about natural language queries to help people understand how to set things up and how to navigate the product. All of these capabilities, we're all doing some flavor of, it sounds like, and seeing how our customers are responding to that. And so that's, the customers are benefiting from AI, whether they realize it or not, under the covers, because we're building better solutions for them with it, or actually in the front end because they're interacting with the system in that natural language way that makes it much faster for them to get the information that they need.
Right. So I want to shift gears a little bit, and I'm sure we'll come back to AI. We'll find a way back to AI, I'm sure. That's not going to be a problem, but I am going to shift gears. And I want to start with you, Scott, on this question. I want to tie this back to Jan Bond's presentation earlier today. He talked about composable ERP, microservices, and I'm paraphrasing here. He said it much more eloquently than I could, but he's essentially saying that he sees a future where ERP is shrinking a bit. It's not everything to everyone, and there's an opportunity now to use different types of technologies to not replace ERP, but to augment what ERP can do. And I want to get the vendor's opinion on this too. I feel like you have a right to rebut him or to share your thoughts on this. But I want to get your sort of vendor neutral perspective on what you thought of that presentation or that school of thought in general, and how you think it fits into where we're heading in the future with the ERP software space.
This seems to be one of those topics that it vacillates like a pendulum from one side to the other. It's all in one suite platform, or it's no platform. Everything's composable. Everything's bespoke. I don't think that there's a one right answer for that. Personally, I think most organizations would benefit from getting as much of their functionality fulfilled through a single vendor solution in an ideal world. Now, if you're taking a core platform and you're just bolting on 15 acquisitions that are poorly integrated, and you could cause more problems than you're solving. Whereas if you're a cloud native solution and you're building things organically, you probably have a much higher chance of making a more seamless and extensible platform in that regards. The problem I have with composable ERP is the complexity involved and the skill sets required to bring in-house to build and manage that and maintain it, right? Because those are you're starting to talk about microservice-based architecture, then you better have some deep wallets to buy the right people to come in there and maintain those systems. And then you have the integration issues to worry about and everything on top of that, because everything's going to basically be bespoke. I think anything's possible in this technology world when it comes to ERP, but that seems to be at least historically a more complex solution to build and maintain than something more out of the box, I would say, for the broader swath of the end user population.
Especially a small mid-market company.
Yes,
they just don't have the big IT staff to support that. And
No.
I think it's a good reminder too that no matter what strategy you pursue or what direction you go with your ERP deployments, everything's a trade-off, right? It's like, okay, maybe let's just say the microservice path is a better route because it gives you more flexibility and a more competitive advantage potentially than you would just from a sole ERP system. But now you've increased your cost on the IT maintenance side. You're going to have to hire some people to maintain all that and that sort of thing. I'm going to come back to you guys for sure because all three of you, the Priority, Infor, and Epicor, you've taken historically somewhat of a best of breed approach because you've got multiple systems that can solve different problems. So I'll come back to you in a second. But I want to start with you, Gil, with NetSuite, because I find it super fascinating what you guys are doing, because you guys have always been sort of the epitome of SaaS, cloud native, and providing a very standardized suite of products. But now you guys have these third-party apps that are being developed on the NetSuite platform, which is not new, but it's relatively new for you guys, and it runs counter to, not in a bad way, but just runs counter to how you guys started. How are you guys viewing this then? I mean, is this your way of allowing your pendulum to swing, to vacillate that direction, or how do you see this evolving?
It's a great question, and I'm going to say thanks for being my new best friend here on the panel this afternoon. We've always had that sort of single system, unified suite perspective as being the best way to run the business, because then you know where the data is, the system understands the data, you can generate deeper, richer insights from a system that understands the context and all of those things. And at the same time, and actually we did do this very early on, which is developed what we describe as the Suite Cloud platform, which is the extensible set of capabilities so that you can configure and customize and extend our suite in the first instance in whichever way you need to as a customer. So we make it low code, no code. Became the terminology for this, right? So we have those various options, but an end user with the appropriate permissions can add fields to records, can add new records, can create hybrid reports. Consolidating all of that data together to get the insights that they need for their respective business function. And that same technology then is used to do more extensive customization. And to your point, for partners that participate in what we call the Suite Cloud Developer Network. And they build Suite apps, and they do that, and they deploy that on our cloud infrastructure as extensions to the Suite. And we've got 650 plus partners today, 700 and plus Suite apps as part of the Built for NetSuite offering that are doing everything from horizontal solutions, plugging in external tax engines and document signing capabilities, as well as very deep verticalized configurations and customizations, if you will, of the solution that are in essence managed by and maintained by the partner, but leveraging the NetSuite infrastructure so that there's that consistent availability, consistent experience, and common data set across the entirety of the business. So we feel that it's the best of both worlds in a way, because we're keeping all of the data together, so it's easier to manage and easier to understand and audit and control, while at the same time providing that flexibility that we know every business needs. And then the last piece of that, just sorry, before everyone else jumps in, is that we also have our connector strategy, which allows connection to third-party systems, because we know that in a IT stack there is almost always more than one system.
Yeah.
Actually, there is always more than one system. It's not just NetSuite; it's a Microsoft product, for desktop or spreadsheets or whatever that may be. And then the more recent thing that we just did is announced our capabilities for AI connectivity with a new MCP server capability. So we're sort of stepping out into that world now, so that if you are using ChatGPT or Claude or your LLM of choice, you can now interact with your NetSuite data through that agentic connectivity toolset, so that you're again accessing with natural language, but still looking at that common data set in a combined, unified way.